What's going on, everybody? We are back with another pre-fishing video of breaking down water for our upcoming event at Alamo Lake. Now, this event is a teams tournament, so it does add a little bit of variation of, figuring out what we want to do and what our teammates going to do and areas that we want to fish. My teammate Bryce Gibbs and I have discussed on where I'm going to focus on and really dial in how I like to fish, and he's going to do what he likes to do and try to create a perfect team dynamic and not fish same areas so we can cover a lot of the water. But what I want to start off with is let's talk about our breakdown. Now, we're not pre-fishing this event. I'm not getting any time. So this is going to be a really a deep dive into focusing on what areas I want to hit tournament day with not being there. So as we look at this sheet here, I'm getting 0 days to pre-fish, but we have other methods to determine on what is going to be keys on a good area to fish, and this time of year definitely sets up really good for just kind of going in blind, because there isn't a lot of chaos, trying to figure out the perfect area or trying to figure out what these fish are keying on. Now, other times of year when they could be in that transition period, that's when we really have to get some time on the water and focus on areas. But in this event, we are just going to be running shorelines. Now, coming into the event, we are at mid to high 80s during the day and a low of the high 50s, low 60s leading up. And tournament day does not change. The only thing that changes is it looks like it's going to be partly cloudy, which could set up perfectly for what I want to do. And what I want to throw. So these are the 6 rods that I'm going to bring with me. I'm going to have a buzzbait. I'm going to have a popping frog. I'm going to have a jig, a spinnerbait, some flipping creature bait, and a wacky rig. Now, this lake is full of standing timber, and it just kind of sets up similar to Roosevelt did in our last video. But let's go ahead and take a look at our map and discuss areas that I'm going to be fishing for this event. Now, we are going to be launching out of the Cholla boat ramp. And we do get that 30-minute grace period to run down, as far as we want to. But I am going to be fishing mainly this entire side of the lake. And I can do that within 8 hours. But where we've had success this time of year in the past is on this shoreline here and on this point here. Last year we had an MLF series event, and I had caught, I believe, 7 or 8 17+ inch fish off of these 2 stretches right here. And my thinking behind that is these are some elongated points with standing trees that just set up perfect for fish to push shad into shallow areas, but also have deep water access. So we are going to start on these 2 points here. So we'll probably start on this one. We got a 1.5 mile run first thing in the morning. And what we're going to do from there is we are just going to run back and forth down this. And then we're going to jump across if that pans out first thing in the morning. We'll jump across to this point, work around this point. Now, after that morning bite, we'll really determine on what we want to do. if we don't have success there, we're going to go to the back of some of these coves. But if we do have success there, then we're just going to keep running the outsides of these and really just hit all these trees going down on all these main points. This one here, I probably wouldn't hit simply based on the fact that it really doesn't have any standing timber showing on Google Maps. But if I'm passing by it in the morning and I see it does, then we will hit it. And we're going to run all the way down up into the Bill Williams River. And later in the afternoon is when I'm probably going to pull out the frog and some of these overhanging trees where I can skip it underneath and work it a little bit slower than that buzzbait. So after we get, down here, we're just going to come back and run that exact same pattern. Now, like I said, if things change where I'm not getting bit on these outside points, in the afternoons, I will just come to the back of these pockets and really hit this entire shoreline the best of my ability. Especially these ones that have a bunch of vegetation in the back of them. Now, this lake isn't very big, which is nice. It means you can cover a lot of it in a day, especially this time of year when you're just kind of running and gunning. But then we'll work down here, work all the way back in here. And in years past, when we get up to this point here, this has been underwater. So this area here, obviously you can see all these trees here. When this is actually underwater, this creates a really good feeding spot for these fish. They just sit on this edge here and wait for a ball of shad to, school up here and just beat them into this bank. So, like I said, we're going to work back down and work our way just through all these coves and just hit everything. Work our way back around out here. Now we're back to our starting spot. And then even like these secondary points, this time of year are very good. Like I said, you're still creating that deep water access for these bass to feel safe. And we're going to work our way back here. We don't know what the water level is, but this is just a generalized way of breaking down a route that you are going to take without any pre-fishing to give you an understanding of how much water can I actually cover in a day, especially when we're running and gunning, and not waste time. This is all a time-based thing. We get 8 hours to fish, and we've got to maximize that. Now, this is obviously a significantly bigger cove, right, compared to these ones. Based on the information that I get in the back of these as I'm running back towards the boat ramp will determine if I want to go back here. Now, if I don't do well in the back of these, I'm probably not going to check the back just because I do not want to waste any more time than necessary. But what this is showing you is I've only covered 8 miles, and I have covered all the way down and hit every one of these coves basically on the way back. And get back in here. Like I said, this is a little bit longer. I don't know if I want to go all the way back because a lot of this may not even have water in it. So we'll come around here, hit this. Really just figure out how many miles I can run You know, and there's going to be some areas where I stop and fish a little bit harder, especially if I'm getting bit in those areas. But we can come down in here, work our way back out. We're at 8 miles now. And this is going to be similar to this cove up here. If I'm not having success in the backs, I'll probably just fish right around in this area. And then jump across and fish this stretch. Fish in this stretch. Now, like I said, that we're covering all this water super fast. And right now we've covered 9 miles. And this is just a general idea of, you know, going into the backs of these and really hitting everything on your way back down. So if I get back to here and there's an area I had success on down here, I may come back this direction and check out that area again after giving it some time. But if I don't feel confident in going back to that spot, then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna keep progressing down to some of these other points and fish around them. You know, some of these smaller coves that don't really go, you know, will take a lot of time to cover. And we're at 10 miles, and if we make it back to the ramp, we're at 11 miles. Now, like I said, I had discussed with my teammate, he's going to fish this side of the lake and cover water. And we'll be communicating throughout the day on what he's seeing versus what I'm seeing, and really try to dial it in for each other, because neither of us are getting pre-fishing. But as you guys can see, we are covering a lot of ground in an 8-hour period. This time of year, you have to keep moving. You can't get stagnant. Now, what I mean by that, though, is if you're fishing an area and these fish are still eating on that, you can stay, right? But if you're getting a bite here, a bite there, a bite there, like, you want to keep moving as you haven't found that area where those fish are really loaded up. But with the upcoming videos, I do want to show you guys my side of the tournament. But my goal is to throw whatever fish Bryce contributes to our team as well. So it will be a little bit of a different jumping back and forth between myself and him. And I think it'll really tell the story of our tournament day. Now, as far as baits, right, I do want to discuss a little bit further on that. I'm going to be throwing that buzzbait most of the day, where I can just run and gun like I've talked about. And if that's not working, then we're going to swap to the spinnerbait. But in those late afternoons when we get, you know, a little bit hotter, shade cover underneath some of these overhangs, and if we look at tournament day, it's supposed to be partly cloudy. So that frog may come into play as well, you know, really working it slow compared to all the other baits. And that kind of sums up how my thought process goes into this tournament. If you guys enjoyed the content, please hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to doing more videos like this.